Unboxing, walkthrough and review of the Aeroband guitar. This guitar came straight from Aeroband in China, and it took just over a week to arrive. 8 days exactly if I look at the tracking information. And to be completely transparent, I didn't actually buy this guitar. It was provided to me for the review by Aeroband. However, as usual, I'll be completely honest and tell you what I see. Until recently, I'd never even heard of Aeroband. And if you're the same and you want to find out more, their website is www.aeroband.net. And at this point in time, they've only got a handful of products on their website, so I'm assuming they're a fairly new company. Right, let's get on with it. The unboxing. The box is quite small when you consider it's got a guitar inside, at about 1.5 foot by 2.5 foot. And this box has got some damage to it, so hopefully the guitar's alright inside. As per usual, I'm speeding up the unboxing so the video doesn't drag on too long or become too boring. Thankfully, the guitar's been double boxed, which means most of the damage that's occurred to the outer box hasn't reached the inner box, so the guitar should be safe inside. And the inner box is a nice factory box, which would do well if you were giving this guitar as a gift to someone. Inside the factory box, there's the guitar, neck and a smaller box, and they've all been really well packaged in foam. I'll finish the unpacking now so I can get the big box out of the way. And there's our first look at the guitar, which is mainly plastic and comes with the neck removed. I'll just put the guitar out of the way for a minute whilst we take a look what's in the smaller box. And there you have the contents of the small box. There's 3 sheets of stickers, an extended warranty, 3 plectrums and a plectrum box, the user manual, an Allen headed screwdriver, and the USB cable. The only thing I'm going to need for the time being will be the instruction manual and the USB lead to charge it up, so I'll put everything back in the box for now. There's only one last little bit of packaging on the guitar, and that's some brown paper covering the strings, which are proper guitar strings. The neck's got a latch system, so it's held in place when you put the guitar together, and you'll have to press this to remove the neck again. And the neck and body are designed like a plug and socket system, so as you push the neck into place, all the electronics connect up. When you're pushing the neck in, you obviously have to get it as straight as possible, but even then it's quite tight, so you have to push with some force. I'm guessing you could probably put a little bit of candle wax or soap on the plastic so it slides in more easily. Just make sure you don't get anything on the electrical connectors. Before I take a proper look at the guitar and go through the functions on it, I'll plug it in using the provided USB lead and charge it up. There's an LED that flashes on the control panel, so you know when the guitar's charging and when it's fully charged. Whilst the guitar's charging, I'll remove all the Easy Start stickers that are around all the controls. This is because I want to see how the guitar looks, and the information is repeated in the instructions anyway. In my experience, the longer you leave stickers on a guitar, the harder they are to remove, though this is in terms of months, not minutes. First impressions. The guitar is mostly made of plastic, and it's a slightly pearloid satin finish, so it's not the kind of plastic you get fingerprints on easily. And when I first took the body out of the box, I was quite surprised how heavy it is. So it's very solid. The size and shape of the guitar is very much the same as a normal electric guitar. In fact, this is really close to the size and shape of my Ibanez Gem 7V. The Aeroband guitar is not that much lighter than the Ibanez either, with the weight of the Aeroband being approximately 2.7 kilograms, whereas the weight of the Ibanez is 3.8 kilograms. But to be fair to the guitar, this is where any comparisons with a regular guitar stops. I have owned digital guitars in the past, those being the Casio DG20, and that was years ago, and more recently the U-Rock Midi Guitar. But I can tell you straight away, even before I turned this guitar on, that it's head and shoulders above those two guitars. The strings going over the body are standard guitar strings, and you can see how they're attached by removing the covers at the ends of the strings, which is really easy to do because they're held in place using magnets. And the fretboard, frets and strings are all silicone or some other rubberized material, so it's very soft to the touch. Something I was quite surprised by is the fact that the scale length is 25.5 inches, which is a really common scale length, and this means the frets are the same distance apart as a lot of guitars. So if you already play the guitar, you should get used to this quite quickly. Right, let's take a look around the guitar. Starting at the bottom of the guitar, where you'd expect to find it, there's a standard guitar lead 1/4 inch jack out, and next to that is a USB Type-C socket. At the bridge end of the strings, there's a touch sensitive bar that's used for muting, palm muting, and to get a string slap effect. On the top of the guitar, there's a headphones out socket, a microphone in socket, and two multifunction controls. The first one controls the level of the microphone, and a short press will stop and start the drum machine. A longer press will disconnect the Bluetooth. Moving over to the last control knob, this is the main volume control, and a short press will show you the battery level using the lights along the neck, and a long press is used to turn the guitar on and off. I also noticed that in the instructions it tells you if you ever have to reset the guitar, you simply press down both knobs and hold them down for 20 seconds and the guitar will reset to the factory settings. There's also another set of controls up at the headstock, and this consists of 3 buttons. In normal guitar mode, the center button changes the sound of the guitar, and the plus and minus buttons transpose the sound of the guitar, so it's like using a capo. In drum mode, the center button changes which drum pattern is playing, and the plus and minus key change the speed of the drum pattern. Right, let's see what it sounds like. The turning on sequence is really impressive, and it's certainly loud enough. And the turning off sequence is impressive as well. Aeroband guitar walkthrough. As usual, before I filmed the review section of the video, I spend a few days playing around with the instrument, partially to get to know it, and partially to make sure I'm giving an accurate impression of what the instrument's like. And something I discovered about this straight away is you need to install the app. There's lots of parameters and lots to do with the guitar that's buried inside the app. Before we take a quick look at that, let's take a look at what's available on the guitar. And we'll start with the sounds. There's 9 sounds on the guitar, and I've noticed the LEDs on the side of the neck change colour depending on which sound you've got selected. And to change the sound, you press the middle button on the headstock. A Martin played with fingers. A Martin played with a pick. A Fender Country. A Fender Pop. A classical guitar. A piano. A bass guitar. A banjo. And a clavinet. Now there's 6 drum loops, so to start the drum loops playing, you press on the microphone volume control button. And if you press the centre button on the headstock whilst the drum loop's playing, it'll change the selected drum pattern. And the drum patterns are 4/4 time pop, 6/8 time pop, 3/4 time pop, 4/4 time rock, 4/4 time blues, 4/4 and finally 4/4 time folk. Hopefully that gave you a good idea of how the drums sound without it becoming too boring. The sound quality of the drums is excellent, but there's not much variety with there only being 6 patterns. However, you can adjust the speed, and the selection that's there is perfect if you're learning to play the guitar. I'll just check out what impact the speed buttons have on the sound. First, I'll take it down in tempo, and then I'll take it up. Well, I'm sure you'll agree the tempo adjustment is perfect. You can go as slow as you want or as fast as you want. Right, now let's take a look at how the guitar is to play. And unfortunately, I will have to bring in the app from time to time, as there's important features buried in the app that I'll need to demonstrate. When playing basic chords, I found I got better results with the hammering on and pulling off feature turned off, because it's less likely to pick up any extra notes that don't belong there. However, it works perfectly well with the hammering on and pull off feature still enabled. I actually recorded that test on the sound Martin with fingers when I intended to record it on the sound Martin with pick. So I'll play that again, but this time listen to the way it fades out, because it's interesting. Hopefully you noticed that the sound doesn't fade to infinity. It cuts off at a point when the guitar's very quiet. So they've obviously chosen to do it that way. But I just thought I'd point that out as an observation, because you wouldn't get the same effect on a true acoustic guitar. Though I'm sure you'll agree, it sounds very real. Let's see how it sounds playing single notes. So here's the A blues scale being played using the Fender Country sound. And here that is again, but this time using hammer-ons. Personally, I don't think that's quite as realistic as the acoustic guitar, but it's still pretty good. Right, let's see if it can keep up with fast hammer-ons, and this time I'll use the Fender pop sound. The guitar can really keep up, and it can go faster than I can go, but sadly it loses some of the realism as you go faster. Right, I'll play that backwards now using pull-offs, and I'll be using the same sound, but this time I'll hold the end note to see how it fades. Well, I didn't think that sounded very good, but that's my fault, not the guitar's. When you do pull-offs on this guitar, you don't actually pull off, you just have to lift the fingers. You can't pull off actually because the strings are flat against the fingerboard, but I'm so habitual in the way I play the guitar, it would take me a few hours to play it how the guitar likes it. Right, let's hear how that same scale sounds playing upwards with hammer-ons, but this time using a piano sound. Just like the guitar, the faster you go on the piano, the more it loses its realism. And for some reason, I kept getting double notes, but I think I might have to adjust the sensitivity in the settings to set it up for my way of playing. Here's another short test using the piano sound, but this time slow finger picking style. Personally, I think it's pretty good, but I must admit, even though it's the same as a guitar, it's very different. So really, you do need to practice on it before you can really get the most out of the instrument. Before we move on to take a look at what's in the app, there's a couple more features within the guitar that I need to show you. The first one is you can check the status of the battery just by doing a short press on the volume, and the number of LEDs that light up tells you the state of the battery. As you can see, the battery's pretty low now and it's going to need a charge soon, but that's because I've used the guitar for quite a few hours on and off whilst I've been learning how to use it and I've been filming this video. Something that I've not seen mentioned anywhere, but I think is a great feature, is the fact the guitar will turn itself off if you don't use it for a few minutes. The last feature I'll mention that can be accessed directly from the guitar is if you press the tone button on the headstock and hold it for 3 seconds, the guitar goes into easy chord mode. And this is great for anyone who can't play the guitar but would like to write their own music, because this makes it really easy. Because in easy chord mode, each of the lit up frets is a different chord pattern, and it doesn't matter what string you play the fret on. Each time you pick, it plays half a bar or half a pattern. So if you want to play the full bar or the full pattern, you pick twice on the same string. And if you want to, you can synchronize it with the drum part. And of course, you can change the instrument sound and the drum pattern to your liking. This is a good point to bring the app in, because from the app you can change which chords are assigned to which frets. And if you put it into advanced mode, it gives you twice as many chords, and again you can redefine which chords are played on which frets. Right, let's go back to normal guitar, and that's done by pressing and holding the tone button again for 3 seconds. Now we'll take a look at the guitar setup, because I think this is the first thing you'll want to do if you were to buy one of these. And you'd find this by touching on Guitar Setup at the top of the page. The first setting is which guitar or instrument you've got selected. And this is useful, but you can easily access this from the guitar itself. Next to that is the option for hammer-ons, pull-offs and slides. Now this you can't access through the guitar. This is a surprisingly useful option, as sometimes it's handy for it not to register hammer-ons, pull-offs or slides. And here that is again with the hammer-ons, pull-offs and slides turned off. I'm sure you'll agree, with that test, it sounded better with them turned off. But even with the piano sound, sometimes it can sound better with them turned on. Underneath the hammer-on pull-off slide switch is the tuning options, and in there you've got multiple choices of alternate tunings, or you can define your own. And this makes life really easy if you want to experiment with different tunings. I know this is stating the obvious, but you never need to tune this guitar. To the right of the tuning options are the mute bar options. Standard mute allows you to mute the notes or to palm mute. Then you've got palm muting and chopping. And finally, you can turn off the mute bar altogether. Scrolling the page over to the right, you can see we've got a fret noise option, so you can have fret noise on or off. And above that, you've got options for the microphone, but these are only activated when you've got the microphone plugged in. Finally, to the far right, we've got string sensitivity settings, so you can set the guitar up exactly how you want it. And you can monitor what's happening with the strings through this. As you play the guitar, you can see the velocities of each string strike. Looking at this app, I've just stuck to things to do with the setting up of the guitar and the playing of the guitar. However, there's a lot more in this app. For example, you can play along with your favourite songs, and you can learn to play guitar. This video's already going to be over half an hour long, so I won't look into those features in this video, but I might look at them in a future video, depending on the response this one gets. Before I get to the conclusion, there's a couple of other points I need to mention, and one of those is the fact that, as well as the fretboard being fast, as I demonstrated earlier with the hammer-ons and pull-offs, so are the sensors for the picking hand. And the reason I bring this up is because when I had my previous MIDI guitars, there used to be a problem in that even when you played pretty slowly, it would lose one in every 5 or 6 notes, which was really annoying. And for anyone who's wondering why I might want a MIDI guitar or need a MIDI guitar, it's because I used to use it to create tablature for my guitar courses. It's far easier to record it into the computer as a MIDI file, and then you can convert it to tab using software. And it might need 1 or 2 corrections, but it saved a lot of time. Why you might want a MIDI guitar. When you record a MIDI file, you're not actually recording the sound. You're just recording everything to do with the notes that are being played. For example, how hard the notes are, what notes they are, how long they last. So you're basically recording all the elements of the tune without having the tune there. And the advantage of this is you can play it back using a guitar sound, or a piano sound, or a bass sound, or a synthesizer sound, or an orchestra sound, or whatever sound you choose. So you can see it can be quite powerful. And when you record with MIDI data, if you make a mistake, you can easily delete the mistake or change it, or even manually put new notes in. So you can see MIDI is really useful for any musician. One of the strengths of this guitar is that when you plug the USB lead into your computer, the guitar becomes a fully enabled MIDI guitar, which means everything you play on the guitar goes to the computer, and everything that's played on the computer can go back to the guitar. So not only can you record what you're playing on the guitar, but you can then play it back through the guitar. Back to the review, and I had very mixed results with this guitar. I've got a Windows machine with Windows 10 on it, and using PreSonus Studio One, it didn't see the guitar at all, no matter what I tried, but the operating system could see the guitar. However, using Magic's Samplitude Pro, it saw the guitar straight away, recorded from it easily, and played back easily, with no difficult IT issues. So, take from that what you will. The experience you have, I think, depends on the software you're using. Conclusion. This is definitely the best MIDI guitar I've ever tried. The frets respond really quickly, and the strings respond really quickly when you pick them. And the sound is really clear and really excellent, and it's really loud. And also the battery life is really good as well. There's nothing I can find to criticise on the build quality either. It's very solid looking and feeling, and I can't find any weaknesses that I think would break off quickly. And how it sounds depends a lot on what sound you have selected and how you play it. From time to time I thought, wow, this is really realistic, and then 10 minutes later I thought, this is shocking. But it really depends on how you play it, and really I suppose this is a learning curve. You'd have to get used to playing to the guitar so you get the best out of it. And speaking of learning curves, it made me realise just how many habits I've got. I kept trying to bend the strings and do vibrato on the strings and such like, and you just can't do that. It's not possible. Also, I kept trying to mute the strings by putting my hand back down on the strings, which of course doesn't work. You have to put your hand on the mute bar. So if you already play the guitar, I wouldn't say you have to relearn the guitar, but you have to adapt the way you play the guitar to this guitar. An absolute beginner, or someone who's never played the guitar before, wouldn't have these issues. And they could use the easy chord system, the backings, and the guitar lessons. And this would be a great way of getting into basic guitar, and even writing your own music. And you could learn how to play chord shapes and scales and stuff. But really, to learn to play the guitar, you'd still have to buy a proper guitar. If someone turned up for guitar lessons with one of these, I wouldn't know what to say. So, to summarise the conclusion, the build quality is really good, the sound quality is really good, and the guitar's responsiveness to the way you play it is really good. So if you're looking for a guitar with the features this guitar offers, you can't go far wrong. If you're looking for more information on this guitar, you'll find it at www.aeroband.net, and you can also find out more information about the company and the current price in your country. If you want to learn to play guitar, or if you want to improve your guitar, take a look at my YouTube channel, because I've got a number of playlists there that are complete guitar courses, and you can get the PDF ebooks with all the notes and all the music in that goes with those courses completely free at www.ebooksforguitar.com. And if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. And if you'd like to see more like it, please like, subscribe and hit the bell icon, and then you'll be notified when I upload new videos. Thank you very much for watching, and a special thanks for people who've subscribed or become channel members, because you're helping to keep the channel going. Bye for now.